I'm going to hand it over to Elisenda, and she can introduce herself and their cause to you all.
Thanks, Ralph. Good afternoon. As Ralph said, my name is Elisenda Paluzie, and I'm the president of the Catalan National Assembly, a grassroots organization that brings together around 100,000 members from all parts of Catalonia. We all work on a voluntary basis for a common cause to defend the right of self-determination in order to achieve independence of Catalonia. In that, we are quite clear, the main objective of the Catalan National Assembly is to get independence for Catalonia. Catalonia has a population of 7.5 million, and it's located in southern Europe, and it has been occupied by Spain since the early 18th century. Of course, we carry out our struggle in a peaceful and democratic way, and we prone non-violence. And we are the most influential civil society organization in Catalonia. We are completely independent, politically and economically. We are entirely financed by membership subscriptions, by merchandising and private donations. And we are not associated to any political party. In Catalonia, we have the independence movement politically is organized around 3 main parties and that have a representation in the parliament and other minority parties, but we are not linked strictly to any one of them. Members of these parties, they can be members of the Catalan National Assembly if they wish. What made us famous, we were founded in 2011, 2012. And what made us famous was the mass gathering demonstrations that we organized on the 11th September, or Catalan National Day, that gathered together more than 1 million people systematically in the streets of, normally it's in the streets of Barcelona, but we've done also other type of mass demonstrations, such as a huge human chain in 2013. And also during the year, we organized hundreds of smaller gatherings, smaller demonstrations. But we also played a significant role as a political pressure group, trying to influence the Catalan parties that at the time, in 2012, some of them were nationalists, but were not pro-independence. And finally, they all converted into independentist parties. And this pressure led to the organization of the Catalan referendum on independence on the 1st of October 2017 by the Catalan government and Catalan parliament, that was violently repressed by the Spanish police and by the Spanish judiciary. We also have a social component. Recently, with the COVID crisis, we organized a fundraiser campaign that consisted in the production of 600,000 masks and the reusable face mask. And the objective was both to provide at the time a product that was not available. There was the scarcity in masks at the beginning of the pandemic, and also donating them to charity organizations. In fact, we donated 300,000 of these masks to charity organizations, and the rest was sold in exchange for a donation. And that made us that we were able to donate thousands of euros to Catalan hospitals. And during this year, the Catalan National Day is going to be very complicated for us, in the sense that the sanitary restrictions, health restrictions, won't allow us to organize a million march in Barcelona as we used to do. So we are going to do a decentralized demonstration in 60 cities around Catalonia, keeping the social distance, the physical distance between people. And we are also going to organize a fundraiser during the summer to provide for donations to charities because at present the economic and social crisis in Catalonia is really hard. Today we had the data on the GDP rate of growth or degrowth in the case of Spain, and it's 18% the negative growth rate of GDP in Spain. So it's really huge. The impact of the crisis has been up to now huge. We are strongly decentralized as an organization. So we have local branches, more than 500 local branches, and we also have international branches. So we have 40 foreign assemblies that bring together 2,000 Catalans around the world that do advocacy events and that have been working a lot, especially in the last years, when in trying to explain the repression and in trying to get to be influential in parliaments. Our foreign assemblies are all over the world, more or less, but we are strong in Europe, especially in Europe. We have to take into account that Catalans are not a traditional people that emigrate, so we don't have many emigrants from Catalonia. So it's a small. The Catalan community abroad is very small as compared to other communities, such as the Kurds or others. So it's more like people that work in universities, multinationals, but we don't have a very huge economic emigration from Catalonia to the international community. And we also have professional interest assemblies that gather together, for instance, lawyers, translators, economists. We also have a women's rights and professional assembly. And these professional assemblies are an important source of support for our activities. And recently, we have started being influential in civil society organizations and economic organizations. So what we did last year was to impulse, to support pro-independence candidates to the elections of the Chamber of Commerce. Several chambers of commerce in Catalonia, in different cities, and we obtained the victory in the Chamber of Commerce of Barcelona. So now we have a pro-independence president of the Barcelona's Chamber of Commerce, because we realized during the referendum and the days that followed the referendum in 2017 that the Spanish power is not only their political parties or their political majorities, but the power is in many organizations, especially the economic ones. And these organizations at the time were influential in trying to pressure against independence. So we want to change this picture. We want to change the leadership of these organizations, so as when there's a new declaration of independence one day, all these organizations are in the hands of pro-independence, or at least people that respect self-determination and the decision of Catalan people. In what concerns our work abroad, internationally, in the international arena, I have to say that our membership in UNPO has been very, very important. We are very grateful. Thanks to the UNPO, now we participate in international forums such as those of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, in other human rights committees. We are present in other in all their meetings. And so there we denounce the violation of human rights by the Spanish state. We have also participated in the UN. Before being members of the UNPO, we already financed an important action that was denouncing the imprisonment of our leaders to the working group on arbitrary detentions at the UN, and we obtained 2 opinions that were absolutely in favor of our interest, that were asking for the immediate release of the political prisoners. This hasn't happened as Spain continues to break the human rights and is not obeying to these resolutions or these opinions of the UN. Anyway, we think that this, by denouncing these human rights violations and by getting these resolutions, these opinions in international organizations and international courts, what we are doing is preparing the recognition of the Catalan independence once we get it. Once the next declaration of independence of Catalonia has to be better prepared than the one that Catalonia did on the 27th October of 2017, and international recognition by other countries has to be prepared. And I think we are very convinced that having all this, doing all this international job in the sense of having a strategic action in tribunals, in courts, and in international organizations and human rights organizations such as Amnesty International, this would prepare the ground and will favor international recognitions in the next Declaration of Independence that we are working for. At present, what we, internally in Catalonia, what we are working for is for the next Catalan election to the Catalan Parliament, we want to have a very clear result of the pro-independence parties, obtain more than 50% of the popular vote in the elections to the Catalan Parliament, and then pressure them to prepare for a declaration of independence that can be made effective. And in the civil society ground, we are preparing our people for non-violence actions, because we know that the Spanish state is not willing to negotiate, even if we have a democratic support that is clear. They are not going to negotiate. So a declaration of independence would, as we did with the referendum of independence of 2017, should be defended by the civil resistance, non-violent resistance, peaceful resistance, but active, of the Catalan people that should defend the Catalan institutions and the Catalan Parliament when they decide to declare independence again. So we do prepare our people for non-violence, and also we have this strategy that we started in the Catalan Chamber of Commerce, and that we are trying to be stronger in civil society organizations and also unions. So we are trying to support the pro-independence labor unions to be stronger, because probably general strike will also be necessary in the near future. Well, in this international arena, we think that what Spain is doing by violating human rights, for instance, the use and abuse of concepts as sedition or rebellion to condemn our leaders without the use of violence by them, is very dangerous, in the sense that Spain is causing very strong damage to the defense of human and fundamental rights in Europe and all over the world. Spain is creating precedents for countries like Turkey, China, and Russia to abuse and breach human rights standards. And the European institutions, by leaving Spain to commit these crimes with impunity, are making the European Union to lose any legitimacy to criticize others in the world. So we think that what Spain is doing, and especially what the EU institutions are allowing Spain to do, there's a double standard in the EU. They treat the violation of human rights in Poland and Hungary very differently from the violation of human rights in Spain. In what concerns this political repression, I have to say that our organization is deeply touched in the sense that the two former presidents of the association are in jail. They were condemned. Carme Forcadell, a woman that was the first president of the Catalan National Assembly, and then after her term at the Catalan National Assembly, she became the president and the speaker of the Catalan Parliament and allowed the law of referendum to be passed. She allowed the debates on independence on the Catalan Parliament and the law of referendum to be passed. She has been 2 years and a half in jail for now, and she was condemned in the trial of the Catalan leaders to 11 and a half years of prison for being the speaker of the Catalan Parliament that allowed the debates on independence and a law to be approved democratically. We are all convinced, and she's particularly convinced, and her lawyer too, that one of the things that was influential in her getting such a huge condemnation was her former presidency of the Catalan National Assembly, because they, in fact, they know that what is strong in the Catalan movement is this capacity of popular support to the movement and popular mobilization, and they know that organizations such as us are key in mobilizing people. And our former president, the one that was president of the Catalan National Assembly of our organization during the referendum, he was condemned to 9 years of jail, together with the leader of another association, a cultural association called Òmnium Cultural. So Jordi Sánchez and Jordi Cuixart were both condemned to 9 years of jail. Both Amnesty, Frontline Defenders, the International Organization Against Torture, and of course the Working Group for Arbitrary Detentions at the UN has condemned particularly the condemnation, the prison and the condemnation of these two leaders, civil society leaders, because in their case, even though anything is a crime, but the political leaders organized the referendum. But what Jordi Sánchez and Jordi Cuixart did, and our organizations did, was organize demonstrations. So they have been condemned for exercising fundamental human rights, such as the freedom of speech or the right of freedom of assembly. So what they used was to use this concept of sedition in order to be able to condemn human rights, the expression of human rights. And I wanted also to mention that no political repression affects not only the leaders, but many people in Catalonia for participating in nonviolent actions, such as during the protest against the verdict of the trial. There were people that were in a nonviolent protest, protesting in the border between France and Spain by invading the road that connects Spain and France. And now they have been called to trials, and they are also facing prison sentences. And the same with the peaceful occupation of the Barcelona's airport during the protest against the sentence, against the verdict. So we have at present we have thousands of activists that are in trials, and there's even one activist in Madrid that organized a protest in solidarity with Catalonia during the verdict, during the sentence, and he's been in pre-trial detention for 9 months now. Well, finally, we would like to thank the UNPO members for formally accepting our membership, and we extend our greetings to our fellow new members, the Yoruba World Congress, the Movement for the Actualization of the Sovereign State of Biafra, Independence Movement, and the Movement for the Survival of the River Races in Zambezia. And we want also to express our firm commitment to the values and rules contained within the UNPO covenant. We believe in achieving our goals in compliance with international standards of democracy through civil participation and peaceful means. We are backed by the positive results of 2 referendums in Catalonia, and we have been reaching out abroad for years now, creating ties of solidarity and friendship with similar movements all over the world. The affiliation of the Catalan National Assembly to the UNPO represents a boost in the international of the Catalan pro-independence cause in the world, and gives us much more visibility to our aspirations, especially in the heart of Europe, where the UNPO has acquired prestige and influence over the last years. So we are looking forward to share experiences and working together with the other UNPO members so we can forge a better future together. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, I'll be pleased to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was very nice. Thank you. Welcome. Ralph,